Network, I think one of the big selling points of this Fortinet network is reliability, right? Like your bot gets deployed on multiple scan nodes at the same time, and it analyzes blocks and transactions in real time. And we want that every single transaction, every single block gets reliably analyzed. There were several attacks last week where one of the bots was not triggering an alert on the network, but when run locally, it did. So that indicates that that bot was not analyzing every single transaction reliably. And investigating that showed that the bot was dropping transaction. And let me share my screen so I can show you what I've seen, and then also talk a little bit about how to address this. So the bot in question was the Tornado Cash bot. And the Tornado Cash bot is fairly simple. It basically, looks at the transaction, assesses, is there value being transferred, and who is transferring the value. And then it does another check on whether the account that the value is being transferred to is new or not. And so there is an RPC call that basically says, hey, the to address and checks what's the transaction count. So fairly simple. But when you look at the bot stats page, and basically it shows here for the various chains what happens to a transaction. And one value to kind of look at is latency. So this is the max latency of a transaction. And so as you see here, yesterday the max latency was 30 seconds. But you see also that it varies significantly based on the scan node that the bot is deployed on. Because of course, a scan node has kind of different performance characteristics, right? It could be, small hardware, memory, RPC could be slow. Others may be more performant, right? So it's always good to look at the performance of your bot across multiple scan nodes. But latency, is maybe not a big issue, because basically what happens on the scan node, transactions are being put into a queue. And if your bot, let's say, is slow on one transaction, but generally fast on another transaction, that is really not a big issue, because the queue fills up and it picks from the queue. But the queue has a fixed size, such that if the queue fills up because your bot is slow, eventually transactions will be dropped. And that can be viewed in the drop view. And you see here, basically, 100, 12,000 transactions were dropped yesterday before I kind of adjusted the bot. And now that number is much, much smaller. So what we're encouraging here is to take a look at these stats to see whether your bot has performance issues.